So Sacha, how do you say your last name?
Chaban in French, but Chaban
Chaban.
in English, I guess.
Chaban.
Yeah, Chaban.
Chaban. Okay.
Chaban. Is that right? I'm not saying that. I feel
Like in the French way, it's Chaban.
Chaban.
American way, everybody is calling me Chaban.
Chaban.
Even the Sacha, they sometimes say like Sacha.
Oh, right.
Hate that, but
Because
Leave
it's
it to
Sacha.
Americans.
with a C, actually. It's
Yeah.
Sacha, so that's why they say it.
It's like
This
they say Charlie.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
true.
fucked up
So
to
it's
say.
Sacha, right?
Sacha. Yeah.
Sacha, yes.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's easy enough.
Right.
Easy enough. Okay, great.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Well, welcome in. Nice to have you here,
Yeah.
Sacha.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for coming, dude.
Yeah. So I start these all the same because it's the relationship that you have with Michael is the reason why we're here. Not necessarily, but it's you guys have a working relationship, so
Yeah.
you were kind enough to join us here on the podcast.
Yeah.
So
Two
Thank
films
you.
together.
Yeah.
2 films together.
Yeah.
That's a decent amount. So what was it like working with? First of all, Sacha, what was it like working with Michael?
Yeah, well, it was
Whoa.
great, absolutely great. I mean, it's actually a practical relationship, with a mixer because you put so much amount of work into your music and you want it to sound good with a picture, with the
Yeah.
dialogue, sound effects, and stuff. So it's literally the last work that we have,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm glad I did it with Michael. I mean, like he's like stunning work and like he knows music as well, which
Right.
helps a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
he has a band, he composes, he does so many things. So it's great to have your music in good hands.
Yeah,
for
well,
final
what
stage.
I love about working with Sacha too is like I'll do a really good pass, like I'll do a scene or something like that. We'll watch it down, and then he'll come down and talk with me. Like he doesn't stay
Yeah.
behind me with the rest of the guys. He'll come down and like So I was thinking about this and boosting this, and I love that.
Yeah, that
Because
is
it
great.
can get really lonely in that mix chair. You got everybody's like behind you, up above you,
That's
and like
true.
talking down at you, and you're like going, "Okay, yeah, we can do that," But what I love about Sacha, he's real personable and comes down and
I think.
we just interact well. We have same sensibilities and
Absolutely.
yeah, it's good stuff.
So how would you define what it is that you do for movies?
So just creating music for it.
The whole entire score, or is that different?
Yes, we have a score.
Okay.
Specialized into composing the score
Mhm.
Sasha, where's that accent from?
from France. So yeah.
Holy
first
moly,
of
I
all,
love it.
It's a good place to
First
start.
of all, so sorry about this awful accent.
No.
It's been 5 years that I'm here and I
It's
still cannot
beautiful.
get rid of it.
It's
like-
beautiful. It's wonderful.
And yeah, I have no, I have good ears, good musical ears, but I still cannot, speak with a proper American accent. But yeah,
I think you're doing just fine.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think you're doing just fine. So,
Thank
how'd
you.
you get into music? And are you what's your instrument of choice? And how'd you get into composition for movies?
Right.
so it's a long history with music with me because I started when I was 4, the piano.
Okay.
I entered the Conservatory of Bordeaux, which is the city where I'm from, at the age of 6. Then I just, interpreted all the classical music like Mozart, Beethoven, like all of this. For years, I got my diplomas and stuff. And the funny story is that I was about 13, 14 years old, and I got invited, in parties and stuff, and there was always a piano. And I started, playing because all my friends wanted me to
Right.
play, some music, and I was always kind of playing the same classical things.
Yeah.
And actually, at some point, I was like, let's start actually improvising with it, and just for me to actually can play something else than classical music.
Yeah.
And I started doing it, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. So I started composing, and
So you were just ad-libbing on the fly then. You were just
just
writing
improvising.
as you were playing.
Exactly.
That's
Just
great.
improvising, and mostly in classical music. I started also, blues, all this awesome music, and yes, that was like the new passion I had then. I was tried, to even when I was younger, to just play with the tunes of like Beethoven and stuff, and just improvising with it. But like I got it to the next level when I actually got passionate about it, and then I started composing some melodies, and then
How old were you when you started doing that?
around 13, 14.
13, 14?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
That's
on the-
young.
yeah, that's kind of young, but I mean, I started young, so I had
Time.
like 10 years of like playing piano before I actually started, improvising with it.
Hey, I want to ask you about that because my nephew has come up in a similar sort of way.
Right.
He's a very well rehearsed, very good pianist. When you come up interpreting music like that, do they frown on your own little spin on it, or do you need to play it technically exactly the way that it was composed?
Well, I guess it depends on everyone. Some people are actually starting, composing, and they didn't start with the instrument to compose. So if you take the example of a percussionist or drummer that start composing, he not necessarily know how to, play piano or any other instrument, but they got to compose, and they, with not the same, levels. I kind of like playing everything especially in the movies nowadays. Like you have all these amazing sample libraries, and you can just play everything, even the drums, and and then like everything you have on the picture, it's like actually something that you played first. So it's kind of cool to know at least the piano, I say, for the composer, so they can play with it, and that's the only instrument that have all the notes from the basses to high.
For our listeners out there, a sample library is a collection of sounds where professionals have recorded a piano, and so what you do is you load that into a sample player, and then Sacha can sit at a keyboard and play keys on a MIDI controller, which is how you communicate with the keyboard with the computer, and then it replays those sounds from that instrument.
Right.
And you can do drums, you can do bass guitar, you can do flute, you can
do everything. Pretty much. Yeah.
So and there's extensive libraries out there now for pretty much everything.
So how did that lead to composing for film?
So then I continuing all these things, and it was the end of high school, and I was playing on the piano, and I was planning to be a doctor. And just like right before the diplomas for high school, I don't know how you say
diploma.
that in English, like the bachelor, I guess. I don't remember. But
no, it's diploma.
It's diploma.
Yeah,
okay.
You get a diploma at a or like me, you get a GED.
No, right. So I was planning to do that, and then my mother, who was just behind me when I was improvising, she said, "Do you really want to be a doctor? I mean, you spend you spend your days and nights like doing music. Don't you want to?" And she was telling me like, "Don't hesitate to go in a way that it pleases you." And
good for her.
Yeah, and I think it's and in my mind I always wanted to do music for a profession, but I never
really imagined
thought about
that.
And she was like, "Yeah, just try it.
That's
But
awesome.
if you do it right.
Mm-hmm.
You go to schools, and you learn to do it properly with the highest technique, because it's a very competitive field. So you need to be one of the best to actually get some jobs and work done." So I was like, "Yes, let's do it. Let's try 1 year and see how it goes."
And where'd you go to school?
Conservatory of Bordeaux.
Okay.
Still same thing.
In France.
In France, and that's where that's the highest school for
Music.
classical music.
Yeah.
And they have like bunch of like different fields, like electroacoustic, which is experimental music. They have like the classical way, the contemporary music, and
Oh, no kidding.
I did 9 diplomas
Wow.
of that.
Wow.
Usually people are
In
getting
1 year?
in 4 years.
Oh, in 4 years.
And so yeah, I got all this amazing thing, and I got like the best training with
Yeah.
amazing teachers.
How old were you at this point?
It was between my 18 and 22.
So when did America come into the picture?
Yeah.
Well, so then after that, I started my career as a classical composer. So my job was pretty much writing for symphonies.
Wow.
And I did that for, but like I actually started around 18, 19 to get paid. Professionally
Right.
composing. And then I did a career out of that, and I was pretty happy because most of my symphonies there were like 8 to 10,000 spectators coming. So I had an amazing time back then.
That's great.
Sacha.
But like I always loved like movies. That was like one of my dream to actually compose for movies. So I didn't know if I would be able to. So then it came to my mind to actually come to the place where my favorite movie were made.
Yeah.
I like kind of French cinemas, but I grew up with American movies. I think it's literally the best movies. And yeah, I got the idea to come here and just try it out.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
What year was that?
It was 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
It was 5 years ago.
That's right. We had just talked that you hadn't stopped
Not
working
too
for
long
5
then.
years.
Yeah.
You
Oh, man.
finally took some time off recently.
Yeah, 3 days. 3 days. That was like the biggest vacation I had
Right.
since I got here. Like it's
Yeah.
a crazy insane
Now,
amount of
question
work.
for you, because I don't know that I know this, but is there a difference between an orchestra and a symphony?
That's
Are they the same thing?
like you mean a symphony? Like we call it a symphony orchestra
Oh, okay.
or a philharmonic orchestra sometimes.
Right.
There is in my
There's no numbers
there's-
difference or
no,
anything?
nothing.
It can
Nothing.
be,
It's like
okay.
some orchestras are like calling themselves philharmonic. Some others symphony orchestra. It's just a name thing, but that's the same.
I see. Cool. And then what you write is called a symphony as well.
Yeah, it's like so a symphony is like an orchestra with strings.
Yeah.
You have brass, you have woodwinds, percussion, harp. So you have the full instrumentation.
Right.
And then if you write for only strings, it's called a strings ensemble. You have smaller amount of like musician. It's called chamber orchestra.
Oh, right. Like or a quartet or
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. I follow you.
And then you have solo instrument.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
So what's it like to stand in the studio and an orchestra is playing the music that you've written?
it's incredible. I mean, that's such a
Does it like rush you out? Do you get goosebumps like I'm getting right now thinking about it?
oh man, like that's incredible.
Weepy,
Yeah,
like emotional.
yeah. I thought at some point I would get bored of it, but no, actually,
Right.
it's like always the same emotion. It's like giving birth
Yeah.
to your babies. I
Yeah.
mean, like that's you spend so much night and days and hours on it, and seeing like on my last films I had like about like Hour of Light, for example, we did together. We had like 100 musicians, so you have 100 people in front of you
Oh
playing.
my God.
That's
awesome.
so incredible.
Yeah.
It's such a it's impossible to describe it, like
Yeah,
the sensation you
I'm
have.
so impressed with you by that, dude. I mean, I'm
Oh,
a
thank
huge
you very
fan
much.
of yours, just as a friend.
Oh, thank
But
you.
your compositions are amazing.
Oh,
I
thank
mean,
you so much, man.
they do such amazing things and subtle things for scenes when you kind of like you could be tipping the hat, but you
Mhm.
don't. You're just like, you're supporting what you're seeing. You're not like trying to lead somebody to feel a certain way. It's like you have an innate ability to stand clear of trying to lead somebody. And it's just like what you're seeing and what you're hearing is correct.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's really, really fantastic. And I've worked with a lot of
Oh, thank
composers.
you.
I have.
I know. Like that's a big compliment.
Yeah, it's
from
really,
you.
really
That's
good stuff.
amazing.
So you move out here 5 years ago. How
Yeah.
do you get into this business? It's a crazy business out here.
So
Kicking and
funny
screaming.
I
story.
mean, you have a good resume, obviously, but how do you get into the business out here?
So when, like, I did in France, back to France, I did a logo for a movie theater. So like the logo that goes before the films, and the opening of this logo was a month before I got to the US, and I've been with my best friend watching, and it was Guardians of the Galaxy, the number 1. And I remember seeing like the end credits, and I was like, I want one day to work on a film like this. Maybe it will take 10, 20 years and stuff. But I got to this point because it's such amazing films, and as a musician you want like the best sounding orchestras and stuff, and that was my dream 1 month before I got here. And when I came here, I sent one email to the orchestrator of this film, and who was Tim Williams, and he's like one of my favorite musicians, and I sent him an email, and I like, that was my very first email, and it's like
one and done, baby.
I would love to meet you. I was not even talking about jobs and stuff. It was just getting to have like the opportunity to meet one of my favorite musicians.
Sure, man.
And he was telling me like 5 minutes after I sent my music and stuff, and it was like literally it was like 5 or 10 minutes after I received an answer. I say, "Hey, Sacha, are you free tomorrow?"
Wow.
And so I came to
He
his,
knew.
Yeah, like
He
I
knew.
was like, oh my god, okay, I'll go. And so I went to his place, and he bring me to Warner Brothers for a recording session. So it was incredible getting into like literally the film industry, and so we watched these things, and he was at the end of the session, he was like, "Did you like it?" And say, "Yes, of course. Like it was a dream come true watching like this orchestra playing." And he told me that you know what, like the next episode, it was a TV show produced by Steven Spielberg called The Whispers, and an ABC show, and he told me that, hey, let's do some orchestration for next week, and that's how it started. And then so I did orchestration for about like a year, 2 years, even a bit after, and I got to work as an orchestrator on Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which was like the actual movie.
One,
the one I was
hilarious.
like, that's an incredible story.
That
and
is awesome.
And that was actually the only email I sent since I got here, and I was fortunate enough to meet people, and work with them, and since then, so I did many orchestration and many composition. I did films, TV shows, commercials,
right?
A lot of things, and I'm fortunate enough to have some amazing project, and I don't want to call it jobs because it's not job. It's actually getting dreams come true.
Sure.
Working
so
with
great.
like amazing
That's
filmmakers.
a really good viewpoint.
I love it. And it's funny because there's people that work really hard to get into the industry, and they may hear this and go, "Oh, one email, huh?" Right? But the truth is, man, you busted your ass. You went to school for 4 years. You got how many diplomas? Did you say you got? 9?
Yeah, 9.
9 diplomas. Started at 4. He's been doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to work extremely hard in this industry. That's just something.
So I mean, the payoff was that you've done all that. You took the chance of coming out here. it is pretty crazy that someone in the business responded to an email.
Mhm.
I think that's pretty crazy, but I don't think it has. I think it has more to do with the fact that you are already prepared. It's that, you know, you ever heard the definition of luck? It's the moment when preparation and opportunity meet.
Yeah.
That's a
And
great
that was
definition.
it.
Yes.
And that was
Yes.
the you were prepared and opportunity came.
Well, you know,
It's pretty sweet.
thank
And in
you so
5
much.
years, you've developed a pretty robust IMDb profile.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And what
In 5
what-
years.
Yeah, I know. It's it takes a long time. And Sacha's done it in like a quarter of
It's
the
crazy.
time. Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Hardworking.
it's like it's just, you know, when you need to, like, I have a lot of like calls and emails from composers from France who wants to come here and work, you know, as composers, and always say them the same thing. It's like you need to be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only key to succeed. Like it's you need to get, you know, a lot of sacrifice.
So what does it mean for you to be prepared? What does that mean?
You need to do your own stuff, your own music. You need to compose. You need to have like a proper professional career before you actually get to start movies, because movies is like the hardest thing in the music industry. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because you need, especially in our modern time, if you get back 20 years ago, they had like, or 30 years ago, you had only orchestras playing in a classical way.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now you have all this production coming in, so synthesizers, machines, like all the mixing things, because like your first movie, obviously you need to mix it. You won't have like the budget for that, so you need to do that.
Right.
You have all of this like and you are also a producer when you do a feature film. So in a feature film, you have between 40 to 50 music, which is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to compose for it in an orchestra way sometimes. And if it's with orchestra, you need to put like synthesizers and all this modern sound. So you need also to know the picture. You need, like, that's another advice for composers. Learn what a film is about. If you learn only music, you would be lost in like.
Right.
That's a
I mean,
great
like,
point.
Because you're creating you're helping the feeling
Yeah.
in a film, right? I mean,
Yes.
you're contributing to it.
And you need to know the vocabulary of that,
Right.
of the filmmaking,
Good word.
and see, you know, how it goes, and then you're a producer because you actually have like a certain amount of money, and you need to pay sometimes more than 100 people. So you need to budget everything.
Right.
You need to, you know, to know the right people, get your team together. That's something, you know. And I learned all of this actually before I came to the US, because I had my studio going on. When I was 18, I started out, you know, having like creating like a recording studio and creation studio. So I had to, you know, hire a lot of people. And you know, you start reading contracts, doing all these things. But I mean, you need to have this producing field in you. Like,
so you need to know you need to know more than just what you produce musically. You need to go broad scope.
Business.
Yes.
Kind of
It's like
look further
everything.
back. Yeah, that's smart. Great advice.
I mean, you need to learn all this, and because in school they won't teach you that. I've done many.
So how do you learn
things.
it?
Well,
by doing?
By just doing it. I mean, when you're like, I was 18, and I think it was my first concert that I organized, which was a metal concert, metal festival and stuff. And
this is amazing.
And so, you know,
Tell us about that. Tell us about that festival and what it did for you and what you learned from it.
Yeah, so, you know, like I had this idea to have a recording studio, and I needed a name, and so I started organizing concert and festivals, actually, like with I remember like the metal ones. I did the first one, had like metal band, funny stuff, like I have no idea in English how you call it, but you know, you have like some people that actually, like, I have no idea to say that, but they, you know, they like the suspended bodies, like they put like
yes,
metal in their
yes.
bodies and like and
they put stuff through their skin and they hang from and
exactly.
they swing and do
Yeah,
weird
yeah,
shit
yeah.
like
we had that. We had strippers.
Mhm.
We had amazing food. We had like some celebrities, but like funny celebrities. Like we actually had a boys band into like between two metal bands. So that was a funny, sexy and rock and roll way to start it out. So I did that for many years, and by doing that, I learned
the business side.
So I was 18 and I had no money at all. I was a piano teacher, so I got like some little amount of money. So I had like to raise all that. So you need to produce and you need to start doing like sponsorships. You need to have a lawyer. You need to to do contracts. You need to do all of this business side of it to create these festivals and that was fun, but at the same time, it taught me a lot about the business side of.
You were
music.
assembling your team.
What I think is funny about that is we never know what one thing has to do with the other. You have this instinct, right, and you just go for it. I'll give you an example. I know it's a silly example, but it's a fun example. I wanted to be an actor. I took acting classes in high school, and then I started playing music and left acting behind. And then later, maybe 2-3 years ago, I took an acting class at the local college, and he was teaching Meisner technique. Mm-hmm. So then I go, I want to explore this a little bit more. So then I find another Meisner studio down here in Studio City, which we're in Burbank right now, for those of you who are out of the area here. And so then I didn't really pursue it anymore. I was really busy podcasting and all of that. And then we had a gentleman that came on this show, Hal Ozon, and he's big on Meisner. And we had this really great moment where I could really understand exactly what he was talking about, and it created this really great conversation. Yeah. I know that it's silly to say that one moment led to a really great conversation and the thing I actually really enjoy doing now, which is podcasting. But that's true, awesome. Right? I mean, so all that stuff that you did, even though you don't do it now, prepared you for some of the components and elements of being a composer in the music industry here. Right. I mean, in the movie industry, as I meant to say, here in Hollywood.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you need to learn. You need to learn a lot before you actually get to a movie. Such a big, like, if you take, for example, like the Rolling Stones, they composed about 150 music in their entire career.
Songs, yeah.
Songs. And as a film composer, if you do like 3 to 4 features, you've composed like this. Yeah. 150 and sometimes
150 200 pieces of music
exactly
for those four movies.
So I want to know, how do you keep it, what keeps it fresh? How do you make something unique? Do you draw your inspiration from the film? And is that
actually,
how you do it?
That's the film. That's only the film, and getting to work with filmmakers, because they got ideas as well. Well, you're not the only one to compose.
Right.
Actually, when you compose, you're the hand of a director or producer.
Right.
And they have ideas. They have a unique way to think music, because they are not musicians usually. So they...
That's a great point.
Yeah,
so that's a really good point.
They inspire you at some point.
Oh, I didn't think of that. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because musicians have a certain way to compose, but that's the interesting things about filmmaking, is like you have a whole team behind, and they would tell you some things that are super interesting, and you get inspired by the picture, by the filmmakers, and by the technology as well. Yeah. Every day you have a new instrument coming up. And you try to get those things fresh, right. and you can, because you have all this inspiration coming in.
Yeah. Do you have a certain do you gravitate towards, like, I guess this would be a per film basis, but do you gravitate to like a major feel? Or a sad minor feel,
minor or major,
or I mean, what is there anything that you go, gosh, I'm writing this again, like pentatonic minor or something like that, like, because I know when I play guitar, generally speaking, I I generally play in the minor key. I hardly ever write in a major key, and it's just the way that my ear thinks, you know. Do you have anything like that, or is your composition completely
relative to what
you're looking at is giving you the emotion of your?
Yeah, I think it's you have some like I have a style that I cannot describe.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to describe, you know, like but I don't use like the same techniques on a film to another. The only thing is the way I compose. For films, usually I go to the set. I go on set.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you about that too.
Yeah, so usually I go on set. That's my thing. Composers don't go on set usually.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty rare. When I talk to filmmakers, they're always like, "Oh, the composer, why are you on set?" Like, pretty much. Yeah. And but actually, I go there, and I record sounds from the set.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So, for example, on a film I did like last year, it's called Anderson Falls. They had this end scene in an oil field, you know, the oil field in Culver City, and I recorded all those machines and used that as a percussion of the film. So in the entire score, you hear like the percussion is like the old machines, like, and it's huge. I mean, it's so big.
Yeah.
And I recorded, like, they have 600 machines out there, and I recorded maybe like 20 or 30 of those because I have all their own unique sounds. It's the same machine, but I had incredibly like unique sounds.
Right.
And you record those, and in the entire score you have like the orchestra, the synthesizer, and that sounds playing. And then at the end you actually see those machines, and it makes sense to the whole score. So that's how I do. And so, you know, like it's super exciting to have all this new sound that nobody used that before, and you get inspired by that. And also you get inspired by the actors, which is another side of it. So I usually go speak with the actors, the lead actors, and they have their own story, their own biography that they make to play that character.
They do, yeah.
Right. And sometimes even like the directors don't know that biography that they made for themselves. So it's cool to actually have the actors' point of view, because you're gonna write themes for those actors, for those characters. So you want to know exactly and super deep, like how they build that.
What an incredible art!
I mean, especially the keeping it fresh thing is so incredible to me. Yeah, being able to be original over and over and over. That's awesome.
Multiple times. But I think it's an incredible gift to be able to take that. To take, an actor's theme and a director's vision and put it and create music from it. It's just, and it makes you really appreciate how interrelated music is in our lives.
Well, I want to ask you, Sacha, do you consider the music always the plus one character in the scene when you have it?
I think it's the, I consider it as the last writer. You have a first writer, which is a screenwriter. Then you have all of this, writing through the directors and producer. Right. And then you have the last writer. And in fact, it's kind of a same, like a plus one character to a film.
Because you have a shot with you and Jason having a dialogue, but then there's that composition in there.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is, I mean, I'm getting...
It totally adds to this.
I am such a fan.
I mean, try and watch a film. There's some films out there that have very little music, but try and watch one without music. It's it feels different. It feels very, very different and very intentional if a director does do that. But it's part of it.
Right.
You don't even... I don't think people realize it. I'm not saying people don't realize it, but when you're really immersed in a film, you don't really realize
for sure
how valuable and how important and how much the music's actually adding to the film.
Yeah, we always say if you're just immersed in the movie and you're just watching it, then it's done right.
Absolutely.
If there's like bad dialogue out of sync or something, and you go, "Oh, what was that?" It's not right.
You know, I watched a film recently, and I forget the name of it now. It has Rob Lowe in it. It's is it Netflix? Is it a Netflix original or an Amazon Prime original? And oh my God, I now that I speak to Michael all the time, I can't help but to notice some of the things that he works on. And what do you call the voiceover? What do you call that?
ADR.
ADR. So I saw some horrible ADR,
right,
where you can see that the person did not say that.
Yep,
that's true.
And it's there, and I'm like, oh, that is so bad. I had to rewind it and show it to Mindy. I'm like, my wife Mindy. I'm like, Mindy, look at this, and she doesn't, she didn't notice it, but I'm like, I'm looking at their lips and they're not saying that. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, they should have hired Michael on that one. That's for sure.
It would not have been that. I'll tell you that.
Quick story. Sacha and I, completely unrelated. It was a friend thing. He called me and wanted me to give him information on a spec for you did compose a commercial in the right. And so we were talking, and I said, dude, instead of you trying to do it, just send it to me. I've sat in my studio at home and I did the measurement, and I was like, you're right on the money, man. Send it out. Then either the next day or 2 days later, I reached out to him to say, how did it go delivering that piece of music? And he told me it was 181 versions.
Yeah. For one commercial.
For one 30-second commercial.
Yeah, it was like
you did 181 versions.
181
because they
changes.
have on a commercial campaign like this, it's like you have like 1 minute 30. That's a big long length commercial, and then you have 1 minute 20, and then you have 1 minute 10
variations of
and
that,
then
the master
till like
commercial.
the 5 seconds.
And, I see what you mean. I got you.
And you have like
I got you.
Instagram, like all these like
short versions of them.
Social network.
How many again now?
181.
Yeah, between all this, like it's insane. And you have different languages in following the countries, different music going to one country to another. It's.
Could you imagine writing a song and then changing it?
I can't.
181 times.
I can't.
Yeah, it's just insane. Like
now, that's where I don't know how you keep it fresh.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, oh my God, I have to do this again.
Well,
there's things that you realize. That's when you realize that's not for me, because I would go, what? I got to do that 180 times.
right.
You know.
Well, the craziest thing was back 3 years ago. I did a French TV show called Bienvenue Chez Nous, which is very popular, and it went to Canada actually, in Quebec. And so the job was, because that was more like a job, more than a passion, I have to say. It was...
Felt like a job.
It was 100 episodes of 45 minutes. And a total of 22,000 music to do that in 3 months.
22,000 songs, pieces of music.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so there was
is...
like about like 200 pieces of music in each episode. Because I small ones sometimes, like 10 seconds,
Yeah.
But
oh my God.
And it was insane. I mean, like,
how do you stay in that and still be passionate about it every single day?
Well, like it's just like I mean, when it's your passion, like it's your
I know, but that's
I don't remember like I started music when I was 4, so I don't remember before 4. So I only remember
you don't remember not doing music.
So it's like it's like literally like it's your passion, it's your thing,
and it's easy. I mean, if it's got to be, if you're going to be do that many, that's a lot. That's a big requirement to do 200 each episode, and wow.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that was biggest like.
It's got to be easy to a certain degree.
So I have a question for you, and you know this about me, but when did you get your dream car?
Oh, you're like, well, a year ago.
Yeah.
A year ago.
You were able to get your dream car because of your work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was like I mean, the visa process for US is pretty tough. I started out with like I got the artist visa, and then I switched to a green card, what they called extraordinary abilities, which is for individuals that that have good career.
Extraordinary abilities.
So that could be an actor, that could be an athlete, right?
Exactly.
It could be any of those.
Sure.
Even in research, like you have like
science
and stuff.
Yep.
Like they have this thing. It was a bit
Category.
harder for me because I'm a freelancer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like a company that wants you to come
to
the US.
You don't have a residency at Warner Brothers, right? You're an independent composer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was the toughest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you need to prove to the US that
you should be here.
That I should be here.
Yeah.
Exactly. And and it's actually like, it's pretty cool because since I got here, I got like French and like actually all of the word project that I bring here, and you have like people from the US that work for you. Sometimes you hire people and stuff. On the Bienvenue Chez Nous, I had to hire like 15 or 20 people working on that show. So it's actually a pretty cool way to do like the visa process. That's how the US is like getting this American dream is like people that actually can work and
contribute
to the country or coming here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You.
What's been the most rewarding one?
Hold on. The car.
Oh, car. Yeah, we're still going with the car.
I want the car.
Yeah.
The
car.
Yeah.
I want that
Forgot
car.
about the car.
He said I could drive it anytime.
Did you drive the car here?
Yes, I did.
We're gonna have to check the car
it's
out.
Gorgeous, dude.
I haven't seen it.
I call it the Widow Camaro.
I think I saw an Instagram photo of it while you were going to Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's so sexy.
I think I did.
My
see
3
that.
days vacation was
right.
getting this car actually driving because I never drove it.
That's hilarious. So, what's the most fun project that you've worked on? That, I mean, they're probably all pretty fun, but what's the one you're most proud of?
Oh my
and
God,
maybe the most fun too. So both.
Oh my God, that's the toughest question because I actually really love doing every single project because it's so different from one to another.
They're all unique,
and that's one of the things that I like from my career, because sometimes people get stuck into one style. I did like horror film, action film, romantic film, and
drama.
Exactly. And I would not like to live a composer life without being able to write in different styles. So it's like I really don't have one film or something like that. That was like it's really different from one to another, and to get things fresh is like the key is like actually having different genre to work on. And you get inspired by by those genres from a film to another. It's like it's a circle.
So you're good with anything. Bring it. Bring it. Yeah. And there's not one particular style of film that is your groove, or are they all just bring it?
Yeah, I really love everything. Like
that's cool.
That. I mean, it was all my life was like this. I was a classical composer, but I worked into the. I worked in like metal industry, hip hop industry, different like jazz music, all these things. Like I tried always to have like multiple genres into my life because I just love everything. So that's It's really
cool. So this last thing that we did together, Hour of Lead with Peter, were you able to go to set then on that one?
Yes. I went to they had two different film shoots. I went to the one in Griffith Park.
Okay.
And that was very interesting, like into a forest. You had like huge light on top of the trees that get like this. It was incredible. Many people working there, super talented ones. I love to see Peter working. He's such a huge talent, and
Yeah.
no, it was incredible. And I could record some forest sound,
Mm.
integrate that into
Yeah.
the score. Yeah, that was
And how did
very fun.
your relationship with Peter start? This is Peter Facinelli for
Okay.
our listeners.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
How did you meet up with Peter to start?
So I know the producer of Breaking and Exiting, which
Okay.
is a film we
Mhm.
did together
Yeah.
too.
That's when I met Peter too.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, a French producer actually, and so she brought me into that crazy
So it was your
project.
French connection that you guys knew each other and said, "Hey, you should come meet this guy."
Yeah, I know her from a producer uh, that I worked with her in a commercial project, and my girlfriend was also a friend of his producer Martin Melul,
Mhm.
And she thought about me for the music of Breaking and Exiting.
Yeah.
So she called me, and she asked me if I was able to do that film. I saw the film. I asked her to send me the film, and I loved it. I
Yeah.
absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
It was
It's a very sweet little
wonderful
film.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. My first romantic film, actually.
Okay.
So I had to, go deep inside my
Mhm.
romantic side, and having that.
What was the film? I'm sorry.
Breaking and Exiting.
Breaking and
Yeah.
Exiting. Okay.
Peter Facinelli directed. Milo Gibson.
Yes, son of Mel Gibson.
Yeah. And what's Jordan's name? Last name?
Jordan Hinson wrote the film.
Yeah, she
and
wrote and
actually played also.
she co-starred opposite
Yeah.
of Milo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very lovely little independent rom-com.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's out too, right? Yeah, it's been out for a while.
Yes. Now, about 2 years.
Yeah.
No, it was awesome, and I loved the relationship that I had with Peter, and I was very, very happy when he called me back for his second feature, Hour of Lead.
Hour of Lead. Yeah.
And that was also like a very, very fun film to do. With I mean that was great. Like all the film we do with Peter are like amazing.
Yeah. Now, kind of coming to a close here. What are you able to do multiple projects at once, or are you on project A until it's done?
No, I'm like doing multiple
all kinds
films
of
at
shit.
this. Yeah.
All kinds of shit. Commercial comes up, you go, I'll take it. Pay me.
Yeah, actually, I'm refusing a lot of projects because I
just
cannot take.
To have.
Yeah, for sure. So I cannot take everything for sure. But I love to have multiple projects at the same time. It gets my ideas fresh.
Sure.
Because when you switch from a movie to another, you can actually restart, your composing mind into different areas. That's actually pretty cool. So since 4 months, I have composed 3 feature films. And I think it was like 4 or 5 commercial campaigns. And 1 or 2 shorts. So it's like
what time frame do they give you for a project? So if a feature film comes to you, what are they? I mean, I'm sure they're all
yesterday.
different.
I need it yesterday.
Of course, they're in a hurry. I'm sure.
Always. Like, it really depends on the film. I think the shortest was like maybe 3 weeks, 1 month. And then the longest was like 3 months.
Okay.
It depends on kind of where if the movie has a big deadline to hit or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the only problem sometimes we have is like, we have a delivery date, but the movie keep changing the edit till like the very last minute,
right up to the end.
So that's where it's kind of tricky, especially before an orchestra recording. You need to have like the actual log picture, at least several weeks, but it happens sometimes that you have a log picture a week before the recording. So that's where it starts to be like very complicated.
Yeah.
And then
pressure
a
filled,
lot
long
of pressure.
hours.
Yeah, because you have so many cues. Like it's like
I text with him sometimes, and I'm like, "Have you slept?" And he goes, "I slept for 2 hours." You know, I mean, just like
Yeah, you have like
days and
crazy,
days on end. You
Yeah.
know, just go.
18, 20
Does it-
hours work per
Mhm.
day.
Yeah.
Literally, that's a lot.
And
Does
you-
it
and you
feel? Does
can't-
it feel like work?
It feels like work. I love it, but it feels like work for sure. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard. I
Mhm.
mean, since like 4 months, I have composed like about 200 music,
Yeah.
and even though some of the cues are like short, like 30 seconds, some of them are long, like 8 minute, 9 minute
Mm-hmm.
music. So it's a lot of notes, and you know when you play a note on a piano, and you know on a film you have dozens and dozens of thousands of notes, but think of one note that you play on the piano. This note will go to the computer, then this note will get approved or not by the director, producer, and sometimes you need to change it 2-3 times. And then when this note is approved, you get into the music prep. So you need to get it orchestrated, then copy into score, and after that you need to record that note with a proper instrument, and after that you need to mix that note with the other notes. and it's just like so much work for just one note. So imagine like the whole
I don't know how you
things
do
with,
it.
like,
I'm impressed.
Yeah, totally.
it's like a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and you need efficiency. That's why you need to be prepared before you get
Right.
Yeah.
to that work. I mean, as a lead composer, it's a lot of work.
So you're in the thick of it now. What's the end game for you? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Well, if I just keep doing whatever I'm doing right now, I'd be happy. Actually, I didn't know that I would get that far. I mean, that my only goal I had since I get out of high school was I just want to make a living with my music. That's the only thing
You're doing it.
I want, and working with people that I love.
Yeah.
That's
That's
even
awesome.
that's even more important, because
Mhm.
you spend your life with those guys. Like
Yeah.
it's just it's a family sometimes,
Yeah.
and you yeah, and so I got the goal that I wanted, and now it's just bonus. I sometimes speak with like people in the industry. Usually they're starting, beginners into the field, and they have this goal of like, and I heard that I want to have an Oscar before my 40s. I want to have whatever, and usually they are sad in their life because they are not enjoying whatever they have.
Right.
And so I always
I
have
love that,
this
Sacha.
in my mind,
Yeah.
that just set a goal that is reasonable. And I mean, just like, if you can enjoy your life living with whatever you do, I mean, why would you like to have whatever awards, whatever blockbuster? Like, I mean, just live your life and be happy with what you do every day, and that's the only
And strive to accomplish these things. Like, you don't just, your goal to get out of bed every day is kind of like, okay, I did that over and over and over,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, kind of, you keep evolving, and I love that you're saying that is with these new people, is they're setting a goal that
Almost unattainable goal.
they actually have it visually in years in their mind, but they don't have any idea of the leg work that has to be done to navigate towards that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the hours and hours and thousands of pieces of music that Sacha's written.
But I like it. It's simple. I want to earn a living with my passion.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I believe that everybody should be. Not everybody will. They're in their life. But that is a simple goal, and then all you have to do is work towards that.
Right.
Exactly.
And then if you're doing it, what else is there? Just keep doing it. Make it better and better and better, and keep improving it. And I think that that based on, especially on what I'm hearing from you, the work will inspire itself.
Yeah.
And will inspire longevity and inspire new goals, and It'll lead you to places you probably didn't even imagine. It'll lead you beyond the even mere goal of just, I want to make a living doing music. Now you're going to make a living. Who knows where it'll lead you? And it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you just live your life in a way that you like, and that's all. And then everything else is coming to you. Everything else is coming to you. I have same thing with like people that absolutely want to get into like the industry. They would spend their life, and I'm not kidding, going into network events, into parties with like
right,
and they would spend like so much time there, but they don't do what they like. I mean, if you're a composer, you don't go to a party, just compose.
Yeah.
that will bring you jobs, that will bring you passion project, that will bring you everything that you need. Like just don't go drink champagne like every night, like with the factors that like I went to this place in the US without knowing anybody. I don't have my family, I don't have anything. But when you compose, you get amazing passion project coming up. That's for sure. That's just the level of your music, of like whatever you do. If you like, it's like same thing. We all been teenagers, and the first thing when you 16, 17, you go out and you're like, I'm gonna have a girl tonight. Tonight, and they go out and they try to hit on everyone, and it doesn't work.
Right.
But if you're cool, you just go out for
yeah,
just enjoying
that's
the
a good
party.
point.
You just enjoy the party. Then you will meet someone.
That's a great point.
And you will meet someone, and then something might happen after. But don't see like your purpose of like this. I'm going to a party to get that into your mind. Like you don't know. It never works. It never works.
And it's
just be cool.
Such a simple approach to it. All right, so let's do some fun stuff now. We do rapid fire questions. Okay.
So we basically, what it is Jason asks a question, for example, like, do you like chocolate or peanut butter? And your answer is the
all right
is the rapid fire part
and
here.
Some of these have been really strange because it's from the internet and I'm not hand picking them. I'm just picking them and then we talk. So here's something. What's something you could eat for a week straight?
Coffee. Well, that's drinking. That's drinking. I would eat that too. Like, so the non-healthy way would be Brazilian barbecue. I love that. That's my go-to. But like, yeah,
I love it.
That's good. I like that. All right. Is Jimmy Kimmel funny?
Yeah.
I agree.
Very funny.
Nice.
All right, and then to your chocolate, it came up in this. Dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Milk chocolate. And dark, yeah, I like dark chocolate too.
It's a little bitter though.
Yeah, but actually, the dark chocolate...
It's better for you.
That's better for me, for sure.
Yeah.
But dark chocolate, it needs to be very well done.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like, the milk chocolate, it tastes usually good, whatever it is. But the dark chocolate... You need to go to a proper chocolate.
It needs to be good because if it's not, when it's not good, it's
so
not
strong.
Good. Yeah. When it's not good, it's not good. Let's see, polka dots or stripes?
Stripes.
Stripes. Okay.
Horizontal or vertical?
Vertical's not a good thing, right?
Yeah, vertical stripes is like
makes you look.
Yeah, vertical. But I actually like it because it's like the French, where it's like the marinière, like we call it. Like it's,
okay.
That's why it's like super Frenchy actually.
Is it okay? Would you go to a movie alone?
Yes.
Okay, Michael.
Love movies.
Nope.
No. I've gone to a movie alone.
I confess, I can't go and be an audience member yet. I just too critical.
Oh, so you can't take the job out of it.
Not yet, and it's been forever.
All right.
I get up there and
I was going to say something inappropriate, and then I decided not to say it, and now I'm deciding to say it.
Okay.
So that's sort
was
of
that my get it up comment.
That's sort of me preparing the listeners. So you could never be a gynecologist.
Nope.
Because you just couldn't get at the work. You wouldn't. Yeah.
No.
I'm with you. All right. All right. Next question. What's a country you'd be okay never visiting in your life?
Oh no, I'd love to see like every country for sure.
So there's not one that you're like, nah, I don't want to go there.
Oh no, like that's well sometimes you have countries in like war.
Yeah.
The state of war.
But
Yeah.
like the people inside those countries are all
Yeah.
cool. I mean, like beside the government things and stuff,
Right.
like we meeting people from all over the world. It's like really like you realize that we are all exactly the same
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So it's like
That is so true. Yeah, that is true. Would you rather eat some smoky? Ooh, I don't even know what that is. Nochi? You know what that is?
Mm-mm.
It's spelled with a G. Then we're gonna move on. Then we're gonna move on from that
Thank
one.
you.
This will be the last.
It's gnocchi.
Oh yeah, gnocchi. Well, I don't know what it is, but
Like
GNOCCHI is how it's spelled.
that's a sort of like Italian.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
That's very good.
okay. So
There you
would you rather eat that, or would you like some delish fish? What is that?
I don't know.
DELISH fish. This is my exact other podcasts. I read stuff because I don't proofread. I don't like to proofread because I like to be surprised, just like the listeners should be, right? So I'll read it and I'll go, what the hell is, I'll have an honest reaction to like, what is that? And that's what I'm having right now. All right. So let's move on to something else. Is human life more valuable than the life of a dog?
Oh my God. That's a question.
Mm-hmm.
Valuable for who?
Yeah.
And who is the human and who is the dog? Like I don't like. It's such a difficult
It's a
question.
tough one.
Philosophically, I don't know how to
Philosophically.
Philosophically,
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I would say every living on this planet are equal. So
I agree.
That'd be the answer
Yeah,
for
No, a human's life is not more important than a dog's life.
I don't think so either, but I know people that do feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all right. Well, that was good. That was a good way to end it.
Sasha,
there.
thank you, buddy.
Yeah, Sasha.
Really
Nice
good.
to have
thank
really
you.
good to
Thank
have
you. You are
Such a good conversation.
Thank you so
Very
much, guys.
inspirational. I'm going to take a little bit of what you said and I'm going to apply it to my life. It's pretty awesome, man. Good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.
Really, really good stuff.
And by the way, I am working to put the final member back into the band, and we're going to be playing a show probably mid-January. So,
I mean, so like that's for the audience. I know his band. I saw him like 2 or 3 times.
Three times.
Yeah. Such an amazing band. Really.
Thanks, man.
Musically in live, it's even like it's big. It's awesome. Like you're an extremely talented rock star. I mean, so just get into it, and I'm sure like
Thanks,
people
man.
Were you at the was he at the whiskey show?
Yeah.
The one at the whiskey.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
May 11th.
May 11th. Yeah, I was there too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Brought my wife and my sister and brother-in-law. Yeah, it was a great show, wasn't
That
it?
was a great show.
Yeah.
And the place is great. Like
Whiskey's pretty fun. It's a fun venue.
It's fun.
It's a fun
Such
venue.
big
Well,
history.
thank you so much for being on Unscripted Narrative. I don't even know the name of our own damn podcast. It's a long day. Unscripted
Well, thank
Narrative.
you very much.
Thank you, brother.
Sasha.
Appreciate it.